If I thought it was dangerous, I'd be the first one out the door, because I'm no hero. I'm really not. I would just as soon get a nice home somewhere else and leave it at that. It'd be a lot simpler. The question is, why would they want to get us out? Well, they've spent $42 million supposedly to save us from a mine fire. If we're living here and we're not dying from the mine fire, then you have to ask, well, why did you spend $42 million in the first place? And that's another question that politicians don't want to have to answer. And if you really want to attribute to them nefarious issues, nefarious cause, you could say that Centralia is unique in that case, where the borough actually is the entity that owns the coal under it. We had a law firm representing us way back when, Blancrome, Comiskey, and Macaulay, and they actually did research on it. And they were hoping to find a precedent, another community that owned the mineral rights underneath that community, and that was being forced out through the process of eminent domain. And as it turns out, that has never occurred in this country before. The coal up on the hill where the fire is burning isn't worth mining. There's just not enough up there to make it economically feasible. It's fairly deep too. The coal underneath the borough proper, where we're at, it's underwater, but it's a vein of coal that's 25 feet thick, and it's relatively mined. It's very, if you're willing to strip it out, dig down deep enough, it's very economically feasible to get it out. And the lowest estimate I've seen is for 3 million tons of coal. The highest estimate I've seen, that geological study done by the U.S. Department of the Interior, is they're talking about tens of millions of tons. And as an in-ground asset, it's worth $6 a ton. And as a retail, you sell it to folks, it's $100 a ton. So there's a lot of money involved. In the press, they would say they're going to put out the mine fire, and they probably would put out the mine fire, but they would start by digging out the Mammoth vein first, which isn't on fire, and dig towards the part that is burning. And they would probably get the mine fire out eventually, but in the process, somebody would become fabulously wealthy. They would make a huge profit on that.
When property acquisitions were done in Centralia, the only thing that the government acquired were the surface properties. No mineral rights were acquired. We specifically had no interest in the mineral rights. Someone owns the minerals here. It's not us.
This political controversy over the coal right, coupled with the idea of extinguishing fires by excavation, is still in the air. Meantime, last residents still take stand, being squatters in their own domain.
I'm Lamar Mervine, Mayor of Centralia. I'm 88 years old, and I've been here all my life. Everybody's moving out or they're dying off. Mostly the people here now are mostly elderly. And just last week we buried another one of our residents. No, well, the state declared eminent domain. We don't even own our homes here anymore. They own the homes. They haven't forced us out, but nobody else can move in. Government aren't pushing in any way. It's just at a standstill. They'll buy our home. They'll give the money for our home anytime, and we have to move out then. But they're not pushing it like they used to.
That's good. Okay, let you alone.
I don't think the government wants to get involved in this situation. The last two governors, they don't even mention the name Centralia.
What is the main lesson? What is the main lesson from Centralia's story would be?
Well, if there's a mine fire, put it out. If there's a mine fire today, put it out tomorrow.
Today, Centralia is an empty valley, with few houses scattered between empty patches of land where houses used to be. Descendants of immigrants from 19th century were not able to carry on the legacy of their ancestors and their ideas of prosperity and happiness. Once a dynamic place, now it is quiet and calm, as if recuperating from the wounds of the human tragedy. The few families that are still here have been immersed in this healing process and formed a new community different from the old Centralia.
If you had lived here back like in the early 80s, not so much early, maybe the mid 80s, then things were unpleasant because of the relocation, and there was a lot of turbulence, and there were houses being demolished and all of that. And the mine fire was a much bigger impact because it was burning much more intensely up on the hill. It had a much bigger impact on the community. But from 90 forward, from 90 on, the impact from that mine fire has been less and less and less and less. And the community has been a nicer and nicer place to live as time goes by. And truthfully, if the state gave everybody in the community their title to their properties back, I'd be happy to pay the taxes on it. And if they gave the borough possession of the lands that they bought through eminent domain or just bought through their relocation, we could easily sell those properties again. I've had a lot of folks always coming up to me and saying, people who have relocated, telling me if lots come up for sale, to let them know, because they would like to buy a lot. They don't want to buy just like a little lot like you would have had before. They want to buy like a whole block, like it is now, and then put a house in the middle of that. And yeah, we could sell those lots. We could have people moving back in here 6 months after they gave us the land back. But it's nice here, it really is. You see we have these beautiful pine trees. If you came up in this fall or dead in the summer, it really, really is something, especially in the fall when all the leaves are changing. It really is beautiful. People, when they come here, maybe have one impression of what Centralia is going to be like. And I think they have an impression that it's going to be these smoking pits with houses half hanging in and people walking around in gas masks and such. And you don't, in the community itself, it's just not like that.
It feels like your whole family in town now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe it's shared hardship or whatever, but by the time you get to this point in the story, it's, like if Lamar calls me, he doesn't have to say, hey, this is Lamar. Right? And if I call you, right?
That's right.
I don't even say, hey, this is John. He knows it's me.
It's good to hear some positive about everything, because it's kind of like when you read about it, it sounds like such a bleak story and just like this awful thing that happened, and it's really, really nice to see the positive that's come out of it. It's really,
it's nice.
It's encouraging, really, that something like, that was so environmentally, devastating, and the community was torn, and politics and stuff like that, and to see that, what has become of it. Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely good to see.
It's almost in a way, it's sort of like there's this I don't want to wax too philosophical, but the environment has recouped itself and without any help from anybody from outside the community, really. And the community has recouped itself without any real help from outside the community. It's just sort of just happened. Yeah, it's one of those things, it seems like if you leave something alone long enough, it just heals up and it moves on. And that's pretty much what the community has done. It's healed itself up and it's moving on. And if the state were to give us back our property and let us rebuild the community, it would be easy enough for us to do that. It wouldn't be the old Centralia, but it would be a different Centralia, and it would be a Centralia with folks who want to live here, obviously. It'd be a nice place. It'd be nice. It would be maybe a nice place with a few more folks in it.
The story of Centralia still continues, and hopefully it will have a happy epilogue like the smile of an old miner from the past.